Hey YouTube, Engineer Boy 100. Today I'm going to do a video on how to remove the exhaust system on 2003 Porsche 911 996 X50. As I said earlier in one of the other videos, this started out as a video for the water pump only. And as the project grew, I decided to break it up into five videos. So this is the video for the exhaust. I'm gonna go and change, get into my shop clothes so I get dirty, and I'll see you in the shop. Stay tuned. Okay, the next thing we need to do before we lower the engine is remove the air box and the mass airflow meter. And to do that, there is a hose clamp on the mass airflow meter that requires a flathead screwdriver. Just loosen that. And then you want to take the electrical connector off of the airflow meter. When you press on it, press on the middle here. There's two little blades on either side, and you can't really see it. But you want to press in the middle. Otherwise, you're going to be pressing really, really hard, and you won't be getting any deflection. So make sure you take this loose. And then, to take the airbox loose, there's a 13 millimeter bolt on the right here. And you want to go in there and take that loose. I already loosened it. They're generally a little bit tighter than this, but I loosened it to save time. So you take that loose. And once you have those three things loose, you should be able to rotate your airbox upwards, like so, all the way up. And I'll back the camera up so you can see. But I rotate it up to remove the airbox. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the airbox. And you just kind of gently rotate it all the way up, like so, and down. Simple as that. Now with the airbox removed, we can get a pretty good view of the engine. And the next step is to lower the engine. That requires us to remove the two 18 millimeter nuts that hold the motor mounts to the engine plate. Those are underneath. So we'll do that next, lower the engine. And that will allow us easier access to the flange nuts on the Cadillac converters that are bolted to the turbochargers. Once we remove those, it'll be easier. Well, we'll have to remove the front straps too, but it'll be easier for us to access the water pump and the thermostat with the exhaust removed. Okay, we're underneath now, and if you look directly up into this space here, this right here, that is the left side 18 millimeter nut that holds the engine to the motor mount. There's one on the left and there's one on the right. You want to support the engine before loosening those nuts. And do this in any of these procedures at your own risk. You can damage the car and you can get hurt if you don't do this part correctly. So proceed at your own risk. Alright, I own a transmission jack, so as you can see I chose to use that. I trust a mechanical jack over a hydraulic jack, and since it's not the full weight of the vehicle, I use this for lowering component weights like engine, partial weights, and the transmission. Alright, so now we're going to measure the height of the engine before we lower it. And to the bottom of my tailpipe, you can see here, it's about 20 inches. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's 20 inches, trust me. So I'm going to lower it down to 16. Lower it down to 16 inches because I don't want to go below more than 4 inches. I don't want to risk damaging anything, and 4 inches seems to be about what everyone agrees is a safe distance. So I'm going to take those two 18 millimeter nuts loose from the motor mounts, lower the engine, and then I'll be able to start working on removing the exhaust pipe. You may notice here, I'll give you a little bit closer look, that I noticed that my bolt here was rusted. So while I'm working, I have it also soaking in penetrant oil, so that when I go to take it loose, I don't break it or damage it or strip anything. Okay? Alright, try to take those 18 millimeters loose. Notice I have a very long extension, 2 of them, because it's a nice little ways up there. Let's see if we can get this one. Now mine are not stock. These are from NYPPD. So yours will look a little different. There you have it. Now to the other side. See, this one, the nut came loose instead of the stud. So either way, it's fine. Now, we can lower the engine. Okay, so now we can start to lower. I got my little tape measure here, so I kind of get an idea of where I'm at. And I'm going to try to come down 4 inches. So, what do we got here? That's good enough. Okay, so now it's time to loosen up the 4 flange nuts. They're 13 millimeter on the Cadillac converter. And here's one right here. Okay, show you how to loosen those up in a way where you don't knuckle bust. In addition to soaking them with finishing oil, you just get your 13 millimeter wrench like so. Put it on there. And then you get a little hammer like so. Starts to break. Instead of cranking on it. Don't try to crank it, knuckle bust and break something. Just tap on these nuts. And it makes it a lot easier to get them loose. And then you can switch over to your little ratchet if you have one. I have one. This is your little ratchet box and wrench. And take them on off. And just crack them all like that until you have all 8 loose. Alright, one more little piece before we go to the rear and take the straps off of the exhaust pipe. There's a 10 millimeter bolt right here. And it holds this little cover that goes over the back of the turbo, I guess it is. Is that just the turbo inlet or outlet? So you have to take that loose. But once you get it loose, work this off of the nuts, off of the studs, but just leave it up there. You don't have to take it off. It'll come off with the don't fight it. Just leave it up there and it'll come off with the muffler. So a little 10 millimeter here. Just take it off like that and remove it. And you're gonna have to wiggle that cover a little bit to get it off because it's kind of a tight tolerance on those threads. So the threads catch on it like that. They catch. So you have to work it off. Okay? And next we'll go to the back and take off the straps and lower the muffler. Okay, this is kind of an important detail. You don't want to break your wires to your O2 sensors when you lower your exhaust. Or you may want to just take it all the way out. So instead of fighting the portion that's screwed in to the actual exhaust itself, come up top side and take a loose the electrical connector. I'll show you how. There's 2, of course, on each side. Here's this, like, say we're looking at it facing this way. So this is the right and this is the left. This one here, you want to just unclip it. There's a little clip on the side. Okay? Just push that clip in the middle, okay, and slide it out. It might be a little bit tight, so push it in first and slide it out. Boom, down. The other side is a little bit trickier. It has a little clip on the back side Okay, you want to release that first. So get a screwdriver so you don't break it. Don't try to do it by hand. Get a screwdriver and gently pry it in a rotating upward fashion like so. You get in like this and just rotate this up. Okay, that will release the back side. You just take that out, just like that. Okay, now you have this whole mess here. Don't mess around with trying to take any of this stuff loose. It slides out of this carriage. It slides straight up like so. So you just slide it up. Just see it slides straight out of the top here, the whole thing. So just push on it and wiggle it a little bit until it just comes out. And that way you don't have to try to take any of these little pieces loose and end up breaking them. Okay? And now your O2 sensors are not going to be damaged. Do that to both sides. Alright, it's time to take the rear retaining straps off of the mufflers. There are two. They are both held by a 6mm hex bolt. Notice on the right and left that I've snaked the wires from the O2 sensors out so that they don't get snagged or caught or damaged on anything when we remove the muffler. So now we'll go in closer and we'll watch as I release the two 6mm hex bolts from the retaining straps. We'll do the right side first. Notice how the bolt comes off nice and easy once it's been soaked with the penetrant oil, even though it was rusty. Alright, we'll let that come out. Now let's do the other side. We'll do the left side and we should be able to remove the muffler after that. Now we can see if we can remove it. Nope, we can't remove it yet. There are 10 little hexes, and it's see what the millimeters is on that. 4 little 4mm hexes that hold this top heat shield on. 5 on each side. You have to take those off to be able to get the top of the strap to loose. So that's what I'll be doing right now. Alright, I got all of the little 4mm hex bolts loose except for the ones on either side. You don't need to take those loose. They're a pain to get to, and you don't really need to take those loose because if you move in here with me, oh, there you go, you will find that you have plenty of movement here, and this strap can let go. So I'm going to back it up again, and I'm going to try and work this out and get the flanges to let go and everything at once. So it'll be a little bit of a birthing experience, but if you'll notice too, I put down some rubber mats because I'm working by myself. In case I drop it, I don't want to damage the muffler, so it'll hit these little rubber mats. Did this backwards. This. Okay, so I gotta take these two loose, and then the whole thing comes off. I didn't even take these loose. Huh? See? It's the first time I've done this, so. Oops. Okay. I made it hard for myself. I'll show you where I screwed up. Alright. You don't have to take any of this stuff loose. The straps or the little 4mm bolts that hold on the top heat shield. Look at this. There's two bolts underneath here. I don't know if you can see them. There's two bolts underneath here. Right here. You take those loose and the whole thing comes off as one piece. And I didn't measure them before I shot this, so I'm probably going to have to shoot it over. But they look like they're 16mm. So maybe I won't shoot it over. Okay. Okay. Got it off. Back up so you can see the whole thing here. Finally got the exhaust off. Had to take off these 4 bolts. See, they go to these 4 hole locations here. Have, where's my hand? There it is. One here. One here. These are access from the bottom. Here, and then one here. Those 4. Those are to come off. And then here are the bolts. They come off, they're pretty much captured. So you have to take them off or they're still captured in that bracket. And the top ones are very tricky to get off. You're going to have to use like 2 wrenches and different little tricks. So if you're inexperienced, you might want to get help or let somebody else do it. Okay, so let's move on and start taking off the water pump and the thermostat. Okay, so this next phase is going to be me putting the exhaust pipes back on, putting the motor mount back on to the engine mount plate. And here are my NYPPD motor mounts that I've taken off, because when you unscrew them, the screws turn and the height changes. So I took them off, and it's easier to line everything up too with that plate with them off. So I put these in 25 turns, and then I marked it blue. When I say 25 turns, I just take it with my finger and turn it once, and that's 1. And I go 25 turns in. And I do that on both of them, and I mark it with blue. Okay, and that gives me a really good height and length down for my nut underneath to go on. Then I put anti-seize on the top mount bolts here, and I'll use those. Use that to mount the motor mounts to the frame, and I'll show that. Now the next order of assembly for me is going to be aligning the engine mount plate bolts with the engine block, and at the same time mounting, kind of aligning the studs off of the turbos with the holes on the Cadillac converters. So it's kind of a little bit of a balancing act. I'll show you what I mean. So here are the engine mount bolts for the plate, the engine mount plate. These bolts go through the plate into the engine, and at the same time, as you're installing that, you want to mount up these holes with the studs that are still on the turbos. So you put your bolts in, you get them started, you leave it loose, and then you get your 2 turbos on either side lined up with these Cadillac converters, and then you just gradually move it in, tighten, move it in, tighten, and then you jack up the engine to the height you want it, and you put your motor mounts on, and then I'll tighten my nuts down so you can kind of follow along with what's going on. And I'll reiterate as I'm doing it, but I just wanted to kind of give you a roadmap so you can tell what's happening next. Alright, so I'm going to go and get the exhaust pipe and Cadillac converters and try to start aligning that with this engine mount plate here and get everything buttoned back up. This is the kind of job you usually probably want to get some help for. So I'm probably going to have to get myself a jack so I have some time to hold and align this, because this is not going to be a one-man show. Alright, I know some of you were watching me earlier with the jacks and saying he ain't never gonna get that in there like that. And you were right. But I thought outside of the box, and I went and got a couple of my little shop stools here with their little adjustable hydraulic ram. And it worked perfect. You just let it all the way down, put your exhaust pipe on there, get it up under there, get the plate up under there first, put it on, and then just tap them to go up till they line up. And it works perfect. So there you have it. I figured it out. Alright, a couple of tips I want to add. After getting the whole exhaust system reassembled, I did go through a few iterations of learning that it's very important to consider the order of installation. So to save others some trouble, let me tell you, when you put on this the pipe, the exhaust pipe, the catalytic converter here, there's a little shroud, a little heat shield that goes around the turbo. Make sure that's on there when you put it on at the same time. Don't try to put that on after. It does not go on easily if you wait until this is on and then try to put the heat shield on. Put it on at the same time. The other thing, a big pointer, is the assembly itself, the whole exhaust system. When you put it on, those 4 bolts I showed you earlier that are captured, that mount the exhaust system onto the car, you got to make sure they're all in there. Those bottom 2, I said you could have them out. No, we cannot have them out. You need to have all 4 in when you slide it in. That said, using the little shop stools, the little hydraulic adjustable shop stools, oh man, that worked out excellent. Highly recommend using those little guys. You know, if you're not a professional shop and you don't have a whole bunch of tools and extra hands and everything else, those work really good with the little adjustable, how you adjust the seat height. That worked really well. Lower it all the way down, just lower it all the way down and just tap it up to line everything up. Oh man, it holds it perfectly for you. I can't recommend that enough. That was genius. Not on my part, but that was it just worked out great. Alright, I don't think there's any other tips. I don't have anything else, folks. I think that's it. I'm going to put the heat shroud back on. I'm going to put, of course, the bumper cover back on. And I've already burped it. And I added all the coolant in. And I don't see anything that's been missed. Put the air filter in. Connected up the mass airflow meter there. And beyond that, I think we're all done. We're good to go. Tighten the air filter down. And that's it. So, hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment. Nice comments now. Only nice comments. I could have edited out all my mistakes. You know that. I could have made it seem like I was a super Porsche guy. Genius Porsche guy. But no. I let you see my mistakes. So you be nice. Alright guys. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Alright, well I just started up to bleed some of the air out of the system. I'm going to have the bleeder open. There's no leaks. No leaks. And you can see here that the bleeder open. I'm going to let it get up to temperature and let the coolant go down a bit. Burp the air bubbles out. Top it off. And then we're going to put that heat shield on, bumper cover, tires, and then you know what happens when the tires go on. You know exactly what happens after the tires go on. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Alright, so I got this jack here. I'm going to give it a try. Chill out. Raise this up and align it. Since I don't have a helper. Come on. Get this lined up. Cue music. There we go. Trying to coordinate about 3 different things here. Keeping the plate on here. Line these bolts up with the inch block. And trying to align the catalytic converter with the turbos all at balancing this little guy in here. So I think my first order is to get this under here. I think I got one of these in the wrong hole. Do I? No? Wrong hole? No? Is that the wrong hole? I think I did have this in the wrong hole here. That doesn't help. That's not the wrong hole. It's the wrong hole. I lost my nuts and my bolts and the bottom. You know what? I don't really need those in because those can be put in later. I can reach those later. I only need to get these top ones in. So, just a little high here. No explicatives yet, so that's good. Get my little angle. And so this, I think they need this plate down a little bit. There we go. And push it in past this little, whatever this is. And then go up behind it slowly. This is a really good time to have a helper. Trust me. Especially if this is your first time doing it. But this is my first time doing this. So, I think, you know, am I doing this back wrong? No, I'm not doing it wrong. This is like this. Alright. So I have to get this in far enough. Alright, so now we have to play the little game. The alignment game. Of all parties involved. So, like so. Now we're trying to get this. I should have probably waited on the heat shields over the catalytic converters because they're hanging up. In there right now. We can do these later. So we're getting closer. I think these are just in the way. These can go on afterwards. Let's take those off. And you're seeing real time Learning curve climbing, yay! Get that underneath. And now we can probably go up a little bit more. Up. Clear. Go up. Go up enough to line up these bolts. Closer. I think now the rotation, I need to rotate this whole thing a little bit towards the front. And let me move you to the other side. Okay, we continue. Okay, let me get over here. That was going to be right in front of you. Oh, come on. Don't do that. You don't just fall off the back here either. Rotate it a little bit. So. Clear. You gotta make sure your plate as you go up. Clear your plate. Clear. I'm getting closer to those holes. Yeah, help is really a good idea on this one. 3 guys would be excellent instead of 1. But I'll get it. I'm not going to make you suffer through the whole process. So that's all you get. Next you'll see it on.